Hello and welcome to another episode of Boundless Body Radio. I'm your host, Casey Ruff, and today we have another amazing guest to introduce to you now. Zack Kusnir is a former football player for the USC Trojans. After his playing career was over, he leveraged a low-carbohydrate, ketogenic diet to help him lose 92 pounds. Zack has used his knowledge gained from working with several strength coaches over the years to develop strength and conditioning plans for himself and others. He is a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley in New York City, where his experience, intellectual capital, and dedicated personal service helps his clients meet their life goals. He is most active on Twitter at Zack Strength. Zack Kusnir, welcome to Boundless Body Radio.
Hey, Casey, thanks for having me. Really appreciate the invite and very excited to be on the podcast today.
Dude, it's an honor to have you. I would invite you on this show just to tell you what amazing food pictures you post all the time on your social media. It's so cool. Like somewhere in the high rises, I see this picture of some delicious looking meal and the backdrop is just incredible. Like, thanks for doing that.
Oh, thank you. I've had a lot of fun doing it. You know, I started doing it just for fun, thinking, I wonder if a couple people will like these. And then all of a sudden, you know, I was getting 1,000 likes for a picture of chicken. And I thought, hey, you know what? People like this. Why don't I keep doing it? I'm having fun, so why not?
Count me in with one of those people. I just have to say, too, you do it in a way that's like really simple and approachable. I mean, one of your most recent ones was a whole roasted chicken and a bottle of sriracha. And I was like, yo, this guy is on my level. Like, I would eat that entire chicken for sure with sriracha. Or maybe it was Cholula. I can't remember which, but either way, it looked amazing. Cholula, yes. Even better.
I do use sriracha. I love them both. I love hot sauce.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like to keep my meals simple. You know, I'm a pretty busy guy between working a 9-to-5 job, trying to be in the gym early hours, have 6.5-month-old baby, and just trying to keep up with friends and family. So I'm all about being simple, effective, and time efficient. So with the big guy, the big appetite, just buying a whole chicken and having a bottle of hot sauce at the ready does everything I need it to do.
Dude, that's amazing. Do you eat the whole chicken?
Oh, I do. And then some sometimes.
Nice. That's awesome. When I'm breaking down a chicken, like a rotisserie chicken or something, dude, I turn into a grizzly bear and like all the skin and like the bits underneath that are so good. Like I just inhale that stuff. It's delicious.
Yeah, I probably look ridiculous sometimes sitting there eating a whole chicken with my bare hands, but it's enjoyable, and I'm not going to stop. I may not do it in public, but do it at home all the time.
I love it. And congratulations on the home front. That's so cool about the newborn. How's that process been?
Thank you. It's been great. I mean, it's really indescribable, hard to put into words, but it has just been the greatest thing to ever happen to me. Just amazing. Myself and my wife making a little mini me that's growing up so fast. It's just a pleasure. So I'm so happy that we became parents recently, and I look forward to all the amazing memories that we're going to make.
Man, that's amazing. Congratulations to all of you. That's so cool. You mentioned performing at such a high level in so many different things. And part of that has to do with your upbringing. And I think that's one of my favorite things about sports, honestly, is like sports can kind of teach you the proper mindset, the grit, the determination to get some things done. So I want to start there. I want to talk about your sporting career. What did sports mean to you in your life? And when did you start to zero in on football?
I mean, growing up, sports was huge. It's not the biggest part of my life. I came from a family with a lot of great athletes, and it was just something that I really enjoyed from a young age. Growing up, I played baseball, basketball, football, and soccer. Eventually, as I got older, I could only do so many. In high school, was fortunate enough to be a 3-sport athlete: baseball, basketball, and football. But football was just always my favorite. It just always resonated with me. I like playing it. I like watching it. So when it was time to become a collegiate athlete, I guess you could say prior to that in high school, I really started to make my focus football to be the best player I could be, because it was something that I wanted to pursue and participate in as long as possible.
That's amazing. Did you always know that you wanted to play at USC?
So I didn't actually know that much about college football until I entered high school. The reason being, I'd say, is kind of weird. Every time my parents wanted to talk to me about college growing up, I was like, you know what? I don't want to talk about school. I love sports, but like when it comes to sports, I want to talk about NFL teams. And my parents, they kept driving home the point. Well, Zach, to become a professional, you need to play in college first. So once I got into high school and college became more serious discussion, I was born and raised in San Diego, so I'm right there in Southern California. Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Lindell White, Brian Cushing, Clay Matthews, that whole crew was at USC. How could I not become a USC fan? And additionally, back in high school, I played a variety of positions. I was a big guy, very versatile. But like everybody, at least almost every football player at one point wants to be a quarterback. At the time, I wore number 11. I was left-handed, and I had just purchased this Nike football. I saw Sports Illustrated magazine with the left-handed number 11 holding a Nike football, and that was Matt Leinart. Wow. And being on that Sports Illustrated USC uniform, just everything kind of aligned. I'm like, all right, that's where I need to go to school.
That's amazing. Wow, that's super cool. So I live here in the hills just outside of Salt Lake City, and we have the Holy War. So it's the Utah-BYU rivalry is a big thing. And Utah football, I mean, it's near and dear to a lot of people around here. We don't have any, pro football teams, but the college scene is pretty alive and vibrant here. And it was interesting back in 2010, 2011, when Utah, having some success in a smaller conference made it up to the Pac-12 conference. And that was a really cool thing, but our competition was so much more stiff. Our first game ever in the Pac-12 was against USC. We lost, obviously. But there was such a culture shift. Like, what was the culture like at USC to be on the team?
Man, there was a great culture there. I mean, every single player, I feel we all supported each other and what we were doing. Yeah, we were competing for each other's roles, but the guy that started above me, he was showing me technique. He was with me in the weight room at 6 a.m., trying to help me get bigger, stronger, faster. The guy below me on the depth chart, I'd be doing the same for him. So I really feel that being at a high level, we all had our eyes on a common goal. To be national champions, which unfortunately we didn't achieve that when I was there, but we still wanted to be the best that we could. So it was really just a culture of everybody that was so driven to be the best team in the country that we're all trying to pull each other up, no matter what our situation was. So it was a really great brotherhood to be a part of. I made some friendships that are going to last me a lifetime here. I still speak with a lot of my former teammates. And then in that same vein, the USC football culture is not limited to the years and the people that you played with. I've developed a relationship with the football alumni older than me, younger than me. So it's been really great, and it's been a pretty cool brotherhood to be a part of. It really means a lot to me. In fact, you can find me almost every day wearing some kind of USC gear, whether it's an old pair of shorts, a t-shirt that the football team issued me, something I got at the bookstore, got the USC license plate holder. So when you look at me, you know that I represent USC. So in a nutshell, it means a lot.
That's amazing. I mean, my wife ran track for like a minute at UMD in Duluth, and I played ice hockey for a small school here in Utah for like a minute, like not very long, but enough to get like a jersey and some of that gear. And that gear is so meaningful to wear. I still wear it to this day as well. It's really fun to kind of rep, the brand that you were playing for at the time. That's so cool. One thing that really stunned me, you and I were talking offline about like what it was like to play in Utah. And now that I'm thinking about it, I do remember the very first game that you guys were here. And I think you were on the team at the time. So I probably saw you. And I was in a different part of the stadium than I'm normally at. I'm normally at the east side, closer to where University of Utah fans are, but this time we were on the other side, and they were great seats. They were right behind the bench, maybe like 15 rows, and I was stunned. Like, we had some big players. Like, I remember Star Lotulelei. We may have had Travis Wilson at that time. Both are really big guys. Your whole sideline was big guys. Everybody was big. There wasn't a small guy on the team. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, the guys there are absolutely huge. My friends consider me to be a pretty big guy. And my maximum playing weight I ever got to, I'm 6'5". I got to 293.2 pounds. Wow. I couldn't put on another ounce, but I was undersized for my position on the D line. And people are like, wait, you're undersized, pushing 300 pounds. That's how big the guys were there. So yeah, it's kind of funny too. After you spend the whole season with your teammates, comes the off season. Say you go out with a group of friends and whatnot, and you're out in a regular setting where you have quote unquote normal sized people. It really kind of hits you like, oh my God, like actually I am kind of big.
That's crazy. You just got to put it in the right context. It depends on who you're around all the time.
Exactly.
That's hilarious. So I have to ask, like, what was it like to play here in Utah at Rice Eccles Stadium?
I would say that was actually one of my my top experiences. The energy and the loudness there, not many places can compare. After I played there, I even read an article about how loud it gets there. But I just remember how pumped up the fans were, hearing the drums, hearing the chants, and thinking, "Wow, this is got to be a really hard place to play for opponents." And I really loved it. I'm really into that whole sorts of thing. The more intense things are, the more I feel that I can focus and perform. So to me, when I was there, it just felt like football. And playing at Rice Eccles was actually really special to me that year in 2012. Unfortunately, I started the season on the injury list. I had a real bad ankle injury that I got in the beginning of fall camp. And so that was the first game I was actually cleared to play. So, I wasn't sure if I was even going to get any playing time that game, how the coaches felt about me coming off this injury, being my first game of the season. And sure enough, they had the confidence in me to go out and do my job. I got to play first game of my senior season. It's such an incredible place. So that really meant a lot. Also, a little funny story about that game. It happened to be a Thursday night game being played on ESPN. And I had a Thursday night class. Well, couldn't be in class due to traveling, and I had communicated that with my professor. And there was also a group project I was working on, and there was a nice young lady on that group project who ended up being my wife. Well, she saw that I wasn't in class. And I guess it was a very important session as we had some important things to go over on this group project. She thought I was Mr. Too Cool for School football player, ditching class, not needing to be there. In the meantime, she didn't know I was emailing back and forth the night before the game with another member of the team, as well as the professor on my role in the project. So I still tease her a little to this day that, you were in class while I was busy playing in front of 2 million fans on ESPN.
Wow.
And she's like, I don't know how you find that so funny. I'm like, I just do. My friends find it funny, so I'm gonna continue to tell the story.
I love this story. That's phenomenal. So funny, dude. It just occurred to me too. You're probably one of a select few that actually got to play both in the Coliseum and at Rice Eccles, which were both Olympic venues. So you probably had some good Olympic juju in either one of those stadiums as well.
Yeah, I'd say so. I didn't actually realize Rice Eccles was used as an Olympic stadium. So thanks for that tidbit. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool, man. Yeah, 2002 Olympics. The torch is still there just outside the stadium, and yeah, we around here have really good memories about that. That's pretty cool. I want to use this time and opportunity because the recent decision of the NCAA to allow players to I believe like get sponsors and get paid a little bit. We just had the headlines that some players down at BYU are going to represent like a shotgun shell kind of a company. What do you, as a former player, having been in that situation, do you have an opinion one way or another on whether that should be allowed and how to think about that?
Oh man, so that's a really loaded question, but a great one at that. I mean, when you look at it from the perspective of the athletes, you have not just the universities, the NCAA, and various other retailers, merchandisers, etc., who are profiting off the likeness of these athletes. So it's not fair that, for example, a company can go make a player's jersey, sell it for a profit, and the player not see a dime. Or when you see the loads of cash, for example, if you look at basketball, the NCAA tournament bringing in over $1 billion, tax-free as that, too, because it's classified as nonprofit education or something in that realm.
Wow.
And then you think, wait, the players aren't seeing any of this? So the players are making the money, so they do they deserve it more than anybody else. But at the same time, there's a very, very special component to college sports as amateur sports. And there's really nothing like the college environment, in my opinion. I like watching college football more than I like watching NFL football. And I think the amateur status has something to do with it being so special. So I guess I got to wait and see how it plays out. I really hope it doesn't cause any problems. In the locker room, maybe one player's jersey sells better than another. He's making more money, becomes an issue, cause tensions. But that could already be happening just to some degree, I guess, with other things non-monetary. So I really don't know what's going to play out, and it's really tough for me to say how exactly I feel on it. But I do feel that it was unfair to the athletes that they weren't seeing the money that they were bringing in. So I'm glad that finally they're getting the opportunity to make the money that I would say from a monetary standpoint that they deserve.
Yeah. No, that's a really thoughtful answer, and I really appreciate that. It's a sticky situation any way you look at it. I remember like watching it must have been an interview. I think it was Arian Foster that gave it, that was like, yo, I'm like playing in front of 110,000 people in the stadium on Saturday, and at night I'm like trying to find my meal. Like I'm trying to find food and like ramen noodles or something. Like it's really tough to see your likeness all over the jerseys of all those people in the stadium and not get anything out of it. I do have.
Yeah, that's a real sad situation. I'm glad that they are addressing it. Sorry to interrupt there.
No, that's great.
But yeah, that you hear a lot of stories like that one, and that's where it's really like, you know what? I don't know what the right thing to do is, but something needs to be done. So we saw something was done, and fingers crossed, everything works out for the best for everybody.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I love college sports as well. I have to just ask you, where was your least favorite place to play? And I'm hoping that it was related to your picture, your cover photo on Facebook.
Oh, so that let's see, cover photo. Is that the I'm actually blanking that one on Facebook.
ASU.
I haven't been on Facebook in so long. ASU. Oh man, you know what? It's hard to say there's a least favorite place to play because football is just so special to me. I really loved everywhere, so I couldn't say there was a least favorite I liked at all. But man, this game at ASU, I believe we lost that one, so that does leave a negative taste in my mouth. The crowd was hostile. There was some weird wind that made like a tornado of trash. Wow. So it was just like everything was like, I don't know, stacked against us that game or something. There was some weird winds that we had to go against. It seemed to switch directions as the quarter changed. And it was like, oh, come on. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that was a real bitter loss. But I can't honestly criticize at any place because, I just had so much fun playing the game that I love.
That's awesome. Yeah, what a great answer. I went a few years ago just to watch a Utah road game. I thought I was going to get shanked in the stadium, dude. I was not very comfortable at all. It's so cool that you got to really appreciate your football career while you had it. When did you know it was kind of over? What was that like for you?
So after my college career ended, I wasn't a top prospect or anything, but I wanted to continue as long as I could. So right after my college career ended, I actually signed with the team called the Colorado Ice. They're part of the Indoor Football League, which I believe just in the past couple of years absorbed the Arena League. Was having a good time out there, made it past final cuts, was a starter. And then they decided to have an additional round of cuts, and they brought someone in from the CFL and replaced me. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll continue on somewhere else. And then I worked out with a few arena teams, the last one being the Los Angeles Kiss. I was on a 3-day waiver with them. They have some weird structure. They bring you in for a few days. It's essentially a glorified tryout. Day one went amazing. Was feeling good. Day two, they brought in someone just cut from the Dallas Cowboys, and I came home to my girlfriend, who I referenced earlier, now wife. I told her, I think I'm going to have to look into falling forward on my business degree and get out in the real world. I think my football career is over. She told me, why are you being so negative? This is your dream. You need to keep pursuing. And at that time, I was like, this level of competition is so high. And the guys I'm competing with, although not in the NFL right now, have either been on NFL teams or are on the bubble there.
Wow.
And they're better players than I am. I'm putting in 110%. But even with that, I don't think I can match them anymore. So I've had a long and fun career, and it went better than I had expected it to. It was all positive knowing that I gave it my all and made it as far as I could. But really, that second day with the Los Angeles Kiss, well, when they brought in another player that I had said just was cut from the Cowboys, I knew that was it for me.
Wow. When you walked away from the game, did you walk away unscathed? I know you mentioned some injuries. Were those all resolved, or did you have lingering injuries? Did you have concussions? What was your mental state like?
So over my career, high school and college, I was only diagnosed with one concussion. Thankfully, I did have a series of other injuries that I had to overcome, but nothing too bad. At least I would say. As I had mentioned earlier, I did have a bad ankle injury going into my senior year, which should have been even worse. The reason it wasn't was because I had injured that ankle so many times that I would get it triple braced before every practice and game. So when I injured it during fall camp, due to that triple brace, I didn't snap it, which I should have. I just got a severe sprain with tears going all the way up my mid shin.
Wow.
At that point, I had the option to get surgery, and actually before that, when they first saw how my ankle was messed up, I had the option to get surgery or to just keep playing and get it in the off season or after my football career. And I thought, I'm competing with the best of the best. I don't have time to be idle. Recovering from a surgery. I'm just going to continue to carry on with the injury and keep it braced, and I'll take care of it after football. So, I got surgery, got everything cleaned up after my career was over. I do have some permanent damage there, but it doesn't bother me too bad. I mean, I've noticed I really can't play sand volleyball or do something on an unstable ground. I injure it and it swells up every time. But other than that, I'm good. And I wasn't very good at volleyball anyway, so I'm fine sitting that out.
I want to ask you, how did you come across the ketogenic diet, and how did that impact your fitness moving forward?
So in college, not only did I really enjoy football, but I got pretty into weightlifting as well. It was just something that I like to do, be in the weight room, compete against myself. And I would browse different bodybuilding forums to try and educate myself more on lifting and nutrition, in addition to all the information that I was receiving from strength conditioning coaches, as well as nutritionists that the football team provided us. And one day I came across this ketogenic diet and thought, wow, that sounds like something really cool, and maybe not the best for me right now because I'm trying to put on weight. But when my football career ends, I think this might be a good way to cut weight. And seeing that it was a high fat diet and the type of foods, I was like, I love all these foods too. I mean, even as a little kid, I remember wanting to eat just plain pieces of butter and put sour cream on as much things as I could, and really liked steak and chicken and fish and all that. So when I read about the ketogenic diet, I'm like, wow, this is all of my favorite foods. Cut out the rest. I think this is something that I should try when I'm done playing. I implemented it and it worked wonders.
Wow. So what year was that you started to mix that in?
I believe I first started that in 2014. When I first knew my football career was done and decided, it's time to lose some weight. The first step I took, rather than dive straight into keto and do anything dramatic, was I cut out sugar and anything that I deemed to be unhealthy, not real food. I wasn't big on sweets, candies, ice cream, all that type of thing anyways, but made sure that I was proactively avoiding it. I then switched to what I called slow carb, where in addition to cutting out sugar, I was cutting out refined carbs, whether that be certain pastas and grain items, eating a lot of brown rice, quinoa when I was going to be eating my carbohydrates. And then from there, I decided, okay, let's go full on ketogenic. where I cut my carbs to below 20 net grams of carbohydrate per day. And the weight started just melting off.
Wow. So what other benefits did you notice? I think a lot of people will, take a look at a ketogenic diet because they want to lose weight or lose fat, but they notice other things along the way. Did you have any other things health-wise that you noticed as a benefit?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, to start, I do want to mention the first 5 weeks for me were very tough as my body was becoming adapted to running off of fat rather than glucose for energy, mixed in with a little bit of brain fog, tiredness, maybe a little irritability. And then at about the 5 week point is when I noticed things to really change. In addition to dropping water weight and some fat there, I really felt the cognitive benefits of it. I remember one day I'm in the office and I haven't eaten yet, and we're, a couple hours past lunchtime. And I had just been focused in on my work since I had stepped in the door that morning and continued to go all day. And I was like, wow, these are the cognitive benefits I've been reading about. And, that's lasted me through whenever I've continued to eat in a ketogenic state. So that's been amazing. Of course, there's also the weight loss, losing the fat that I did. I lost a total of 92 pounds. I just generally feel so much healthier. For one of the examples I like to give is when I was bigger, trying to pack on weight. It wasn't an easy job. It looks fun trying to eat all this food, but at the same time, it can become overwhelming. And my body didn't want to put on more weight at that point. And let's say I was crossing the street. There's a couple seconds left, and I was like, "All right, I gotta run across." It started getting to the point where, geez, I gotta take a few deep breaths after I run across. I shouldn't feel like this at all. The weight dropped off. I feel great, just feeling lighter. Moving around is so much easier. Not having to worry with any of those type of things that the additional weight that you're forcing on brings to you. So just my overall feeling of well-being, whether that's going to sleep at night, or running around with friends and family, crossing the street in a hurry. I feel great. So it's something I'm really glad that I did, and really happy that I lost the weight to get my health where it is today.
That's a great answer. You have done a little bit of coaching, which I want to talk about here in a little bit. But before I do, just because you've done the coaching, I want to ask this question. 5 weeks, you said you felt pretty miserable for 5 weeks, which when you look back, those 5 weeks were years ago. I mean, come on, like way worth it. Like totally worth whatever suffering you had to go through. Obviously getting around to the other side's amazing. We just got a message from a shared client, Bethany and I, that said, I just ate one keto meal and I feel like a horrible person. I feel terrible right now. Is this how this is always going to feel? And my response was like, you're asking if this is what Bali is like when you're at the ticket counter of the very first airport before 3 different airplane transfers and a crappy bus ride until you get to Bali. Like you're on the journey that's going to get you to this amazing place. And once you're there, you don't ever have to leave. And so I'm really curious. You have this background of like pushing through, the grit, the determination, the sports, everything you learned, how to drive and be strong with your teammates and everything like that. As you're coaching somebody, is it really like a mindset thing that people need to just push through, or are there things that they can do to lessen the misery for themselves? Because those 5 weeks can feel pretty long when you're in them. It's totally worth it when you're on the other side. But I'm just wondering if it's like a mindset question of that's something that set you apart that other people maybe don't have as a tool.
Oh, 100%. And I really do like that Bali analogy. I may steal it if you allow me to.
I stole it too.
I remember when I first started, as I said, I was not feeling very great. Now, I had done a lot of research going into it, and I read story after story of other people who didn't feel great, and responses were, keep on trucking, just get through this. It's going to be horrible at first. And then you're going to break through to the other side, and you're going to be glad that you did. So I told myself, you know what? I am going to stick to and trust the plan, and I'm going to come out on the other side, and nothing's going to stop me. It really came down to discipline and determination, and I'm a week and a half in. It would have been so easy to just give up, go get, a pizza and a pint of ice cream and be like, screw this. I'm so much happier this way. But I didn't cave. I went through those 5 weeks. And a little side note there, I read that for most people, it takes 2 to 3 weeks. So for whatever reason, it took me longer. And I thought I'm going to continue on until I feel good. When I broke through, I was so happy that I did it. And never looked back.
Mm. It's almost like that kind of suffering is the exact sign that you're looking for that tells you that it's working. You should feel terrible. And again, it's like, what if you're standing in line, with 150 other smelly people trying to get on a plane, like that's a sign that you're going to Bali. Like, you're going to Bali. Why do people bail? Why don't people ride it out a little bit longer?
I think it's just so easy to give into temptation. A quote I like to tell people is don't trade what you want the most for what you want at the moment. And I think a lot of people just really lose sight of that long-term goal that they have when they have the opportunity to just walk down the street to 7-Eleven or go to a local restaurant and get something that they know is going to provide them with that instant satisfaction. It's so easy to succumb to. So you really need to get disciplined and develop that mindset going into it, and just tell yourself, these situations are going to come, and I'm going to be mentally prepared to tell the little man or woman in my head, no, I'm not going to give in. I'm going to keep on going till I get to my destination.
I love that. That is so well explained. That's a perfect way to explain it to somebody. A word I've been thinking about lately a lot is like comfort. Like, we as humans did this amazing job creating these amazing lives. We can be 72 degrees all the time. We don't have to go outside and get sunshine. We don't need to be cold or hot. We don't need to lift heavy things. We can push a button on a magical device that sends a signal into outer goddamn space. And in 20 minutes, somebody's going to show up at my door with all the tacos and a bucket of soda. What are ways that you try to build in resilience and strength where a lot of people are kind of going the other direction?
So when I first started keto, and for that matter, when I'm going through a period where I'm trying to implement a certain nutritional strategy, I start with my fridge at home. I make sure that I only have items in there that are going to comply with the way I'm trying to eat. If for some reason I am going to be going over my calorie goal for the day, I'm going to go over on calories in what I consider to be healthy foods that are in tune to my goal. So at least I'm limiting the damage, if any. So I think it really starts at what you have access to at home. Like you said, it's so easy just with the click of a button to order anything you want. So even if your fridge is fully stocked with healthy items, you can get something else. So that really comes down to just your level of discipline and not allowing yourself to do that, whether it be having the determination not to open the app, or whether you need to delete the app from your phone, or what have you. Just don't provide yourself ease of access to items that are going to break your plan.
That's a great piece of advice. Is it difficult to eat the way that you eat with a young family? Is your wife on board? The child, like, what does your kiddo eat?
It's actually been real easy. I mean, he is still only 6.5, almost 7 months old. So not really eating anything other than pureed foods when he is eating solids. My wife eats relatively healthy. She doesn't eat keto the way that I do, but we're able to cook our meals together and just portion out what I'm going to eat, what she's going to eat. So it's actually been really simple. I know it may be harder with a larger family, but with a little bit of pre-planning, it's been nothing too difficult to overcome.
That's great. And going back to the strength training side, I'm always really curious to hear, like, you have had a lot of, high level strength coaching from probably some of the best experts in the world. Has your plan of strength training evolved over time? Have you adjusted things, and in which ways have you changed your plan over time?
Oh, majorly. So when I first finished playing football and was still lifting to stay in shape, I built a plan that was just very similar to what I was doing in the weight room as an athlete. Then I realized, I was spending 4, sometimes 5 or 6 days in the weight room, usually near 2 hours a day, and thought, as my schedule gets busier, as work gets more intense, as I begin to build a family, this isn't going to be sustainable. And even at that time, it was, hey, you know what? I put in so much effort and so much time in football. and lifting. I love to do this, but I need to leave more time for things outside of work and lifting. So I started doing research into different ways of training. And I really decided the best thing for me is to take a full body approach. So there's multiple 5x5 programs out there that I had read about, and I implemented a few. There's an individual who's actually a strength coach. His name was Bill Starr, who he had determined that 4 to 6 reps of intense lifting, is where it's optimal. So we settle on the number 5. So I started doing 5x5 full body workouts. It took me anywhere from 45 minutes to maybe an hour and 15, depending on the rest and warm up that I needed, and only doing it 3 days a week. And so my training evolved into this style of training because it really opened up a lot of time for me, and it allowed me to hit all my muscle groups in a very efficient and effective manner. Sometimes people ask me, well, don't you get real tired from that full body workout? Don't you want to split things up into different days? And yeah, you get tired a little bit, but you get used to it. And if you're lifting with good form at the right intensity, it's something that becomes very easy to deal with. And a great benefit is, let's say you decide you're going to lift 3 times that week, 3 full body workouts. And one of the days you have to miss a workout. Let's say even 2 of the days you have to miss a workout. Since you're doing full body, you've already hit essentially every muscle group. So it's something that really provides you with a lot of margin, and it's very effective. And I've been doing essentially the same lift or the same base of lifting with different variations here and there, just based on different goals and on my schedule.
Wow. That is a really efficient way to do things. And I could not agree more. Over the years, I really thought you had to be in the gym, an hour and a half, 6 days a week to get any results. And it's kind of shocking how little I lift weights and am able to maintain my muscle mass. Well, how much time do you personally spend in a gym lifting weights every week, let's say?
I would say I'm probably around 3 hours to 3 hours and 45 minutes, as my workouts tend to be about an hour to an hour 15. So if I know I'm going to be real pressed that day, I'm just only going to focus on my big compound lifts, or I'm going to hit my full body, and I'll be out sometimes even in less than an hour. I can do 45 minutes if I make my rest sets a little shorter, and I get my warm up done exactly on point. If I know I'm going to have a little bit more time, I might add in some accessory lifts to get a little extra work here and there, maybe on my abs, maybe on my biceps, the pretty muscles, maybe on my back, what have you. So yeah, we're looking at between 3 hours, 45 minutes a week, which I think is very little time, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. That's fantastic. I mean, good for you. When did you start to decide that you wanted to, kind of coach people and help people develop plans as like a side hustle? Like, this isn't your main job. You're obviously an expert in this. Why did you decide to start helping people with it?
So after I initially made my big transformation of losing 92 pounds, I had so many friends, former teammates, parents of friends and teammates asking me what I did. And so I'd have them give me their email. I would type up this whole plan for them, everything to do step by step. And, it was cool seeing these people come back to me with, hey, I lost 20 pounds. I lost 50 pounds, whatever it may be. And started telling me, hey, you should really consider doing this and helping other people. And I thought, as of now, I'm just going to do it as is, helping friends and family, not something professionally or too seriously. But as the inquiry started to build up over the years, it became, in my mind, something, hey, you know what? I might as well monetize this and expand it to strangers if they're willing to utilize my services. So when this whole pandemic started, and the gyms were closed, and there was a lot of free time by no commute to work, doing the whole work from home thing and whatnot, I created an anonymous Twitter account and just started posting some of my lifts and pictures of food. And then I posted my workout program and my or a workout program that I follow a lot. I've tweaked it since then just for full transparency, but generally what I do. and I posted a document on how to kick off a keto diet, and they started getting a whole bunch of downloads. And so from that point, I decided, okay, I'm gonna put a price on these, put it in a make it more visible online, and go from there. The downloads didn't stop. People were willing to pay. People were asking for more, DMing me for more, and it's just kind of developed organically that way. So it's not something where money was the goal. I did it out of passion, and it's got me to where it is today. And so it's something really special that I got to do something that I love, and it worked out.
Dude, that's so cool. I mean, this whole podcast is a passion project that emerged out of the pandemic as well. It's amazing. I'm so happy and thrilled to talk with other people who took an opportunity out of a really crappy situation. Did you have a tough time readjusting your recommendations when you didn't have, clients that necessarily had access to a gym?
So I didn't because, of course, I'd like to prioritize weightlifting as resistance training for people. But at the same time, as long as you can have some kind of resistance training, which everybody for the most part can, all you really need is your body and the floor. So when people didn't have access to a gym, whether theirs was shut down because of the pandemic or they weren't comfortable going back yet, I would help them put together a body weight workout. There's a couple of good books out there too. Here, it came to me, Body by Science. One of the authors, Doug McGuff, he talks a lot about doing body weight training and getting in that resistance in a very quick amount of time, and how you could build muscle. I actually learned of that book from Ted Naiman, who I think you may have had on a podcast before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see his pictures, and he's essentially all body weight, maybe some TRX, pull-up bars, other items here and there. And the guy is just absolutely shredded. So as long as you got your body, you're healthy, you got the floor there, you can go ahead and do body weight training. So when people were in that situation, I just helped them put together a plan where you get a push exercise, pull exercise, and then legs, which is body weight, or if you're able, pistol squats.
Dude, okay. For the listener, if you're not driving, look up Ted Naiman, first of all, because you're right. He's amazing. He does everything by body weight. But second of all, Body by Science by Doug McGuff and John Little. If you have any interest in strength training, that is hands down the most influential book that I have ever read covering those topics and how to build muscle, and completely changed the trajectory of my personal training career. I am so glad you mentioned that and plugged that. That concept and that book was so life-changing for me. I'm so glad that it influenced you as well.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I even made some tweaks to my lifting after reading that, where there was a point where the weight I was lifting was becoming so heavy that I was doing 2 full body lifts, and then the third lift was just all dumbbells and accessories. And I continued to grow and add weight to every one of my lifts. So it really just opened my eyes to being efficient with your resistance training and how much progress you can actually make.
Man, love that. I'm so glad you plugged that. That has been an incredible resource for us as well. That's fantastic. All right, man. Well, all of that is not your day job. I'm so glad you decided to do that and made it your side hustle and passion project. And I hope a lot of people find you for that. I do want to ask you a few questions about finance, since that's your big main job. I want to start with, what is your personal definition of wealth? What does wealth mean to you?
So my definition of wealth isn't being able to have a fancy car and afford private jets, live in a mansion, what a lot of people may envision, at least at first when they speak about wealth. But I think of wealth as being able to have peace of mind that you're financially able to do the things that you want to be able to do. It could be something as simple as being able to afford your mortgage, have a family, and put away some money into a college savings account for your child, and go to bed at night knowing that that you're well set financially. For somebody else, it could be maybe living in an expensive area and owning a Mercedes or something, and then having that same peace of mind. But as long as you're able to have peace of mind with your finances and do the things that are really your priority, I would classify you as wealthy.
I love that. In the suburbs where we live, it's kind of a mixed development. I mean, we have a smaller home in the area. It's a really nice home and we love it and we're really grateful for it. And we have people that move into, $1 million+ homes up by the lake by our house. And, I see a lot of the toys and a lot of the things that people are buying and accumulating. And I've got no problem with that if that's what you enjoy and love. On Sunday, this last week, I got to drive down to visit my grandparents. My grandpa is just about to turn 91 at the time of this recording. And he rides his bicycle every single day because he loves it. And they live in a house that they bought, I don't know, 1 million years ago. They just got a cell phone not too long ago and they hardly know how to use it. I know they know how to read text messages. So I text them right before this conversation to ask if I remember correctly how much they bought their house for. This is funny. As I was getting set up, they ended up calling me and left me a voice message. And Grandma was like, yeah, you're right. How much we paid. That's how much we paid. I don't know how to use text message. I'm sorry. We love you. So Bethany had the idea to actually play the voicemail from Grandma Ruff on the air, which I thought was a great idea. So we're taking a quick break so you can hear the actual voicemail.
Casey, we just got a message from you that asked about how much we paid a month on the house, and it was $60 a month for 20 years. But I don't know how to get back to you on text, so that's the reason I'm calling. Love you lots, and we'll take care. Bye.
Some of the most wise and best people I've ever met in my life are my grandparents. They're just amazing. Anyway, back to the episode. So that was pretty good. But anyway, they bought their house for monthly payments of $60 for 20 years. And I calculated that out, and that was like $14,000 was their entire house. And we went down to my grandpa's house to install a wireless bike computer onto his bike so he could see how far and how fast he's riding. And he is marveling at this bike computer. And he jumps on the bike, zips around the block. He's like, I think I hit 15 miles an hour. And I showed him how to use the buttons. And sure enough, 15.5 miles an hour, wow, Grandpa, you're zipping. That's great. And they love each other fiercely. They laugh and joke until they cry, at least once a day. And I don't know which of those two scenarios is wealth, but I want the second one. If that's not wealth, then I don't want it. And so I really love your definition of having what you need and what you want to do and the life you want to live, not necessarily how many zeros you have in your bank account.
Oh, exactly. 100%. On the exact same page there. Truly agree. That is wealth at its highest level in my opinion, and that's my ultimate goal.
That's great. And again, that said, money is a part of life. And a lot of us who want to think that money isn't important, or, we're trying to live this good, honest life. And so we don't want to oversell things. That's also a little bit out of balance. Money is really important. And I would love to hear how in what ways should people be thinking about balancing out their finances so that they can achieve that level of wealth?
Well, I tell people not to worry too much about the exact amount of money and investment in bank accounts, although that is important to a degree. But when you view money, view it as something as let's say a security blanket, or even better, as a financial tool, and use this tool to do the things that you want to do. So going back to my example earlier, if you're in the position where your income and your assets are high enough to afford that Mercedes, use money as a tool to unlock that dream for yourself. If your dream is to have a nice little cottage out in the suburbs, drive a used car, plan and use that tool to achieve that goal of yours. So it's not looking at, hey, I need to buy a car worth $40,000, but using money as that tool to be able to hit your goals.
So if somebody asks me, generally speaking, what do most people need to do to become more healthy or eat better? It's pretty easy, generally speaking, to say, look, you're probably consuming too much sugar. There's probably too many grains. There's probably too much vegetable oil. Try to get those things out. That's super high level. For you and what you see with the people you work with, are there any common, very high level general things that most people are screwing up that they could be doing a better job of?
Are you speaking financially or nutrition
financially
and fitness wise?
Financially.
So there's a lot of parallels there. I think the biggest thing is people not realizing where their money's going. In the same in the same kind of realm as people don't know exactly what they're eating or how they're training if they're not tracking it. So one exercise that I like to have some people do is, take a sheet of paper and draw a line down it. On the left side, put all your fixed expenses, your rent or your mortgage, what you're spending regularly on groceries and other bills, you're going to have to pay from month to month. On the right side, put your variable expenses. So that could be things like streaming services, vacations, going out to eat, and other things that are for entertainment and leisure. So, with the items on the left, that's what you're going to have to spend. So budget for that. You're always going to need that for the most part. On the right side, take a look at what you can cut out if you need to increase your savings if you're not in a position that you want to be. Now, a lot of times people will do that simple exercise and realize, hey, I'm not using this service. Hey, there's an alternative service that I could pay a lot less for. Or even the biggest one I see is, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was spending so much money on things that aren't very necessary and don't contribute that much happiness to my life. So that's where I would say most people should start. It's very easy. Anybody can do it. And I really think it's the doorway to greater financial success.
That's amazing. I really love that. That's one thing that we did in the beginning of the pandemic. And really one of the most helpful things that we did is like really sitting down and checking out our finances. And we realized that we were working so hard that a lot of the money that we were spending was all spent just to run away from a life that was just too much. And going out to restaurants and all the trips and vacations and any kind of escape that we could take from our day-to-day life, we would spend a ton of money on it. And we realized that our fixed expenses, it was something, but it wasn't as much as we thought. And all our money was going to stuff to run away from life. And man, what a great gift the pandemic was in that sense to help us realize, let's keep our life small. Let's build a life that we like. And then all of these other expenses just kind of fell away. It's almost like a secret that nobody talks about.
Exactly. So, being aware of your expenses, just like being aware of what you eat, is a great starting point to actually visualize and have something in front of you that you can look at, and then know where to go from there.
That's great. Man, so you guys, living in kind of the epicenter of where the pandemic hit, everything's opening back up. What are you really excited for? You spent this year really refining some things and creating some new opportunities and really going out and help people. What are you excited about now?
I'm excited just for the general mood of the city, for people to be happy and not too afraid to be back out, interacting with one another. Being in a metropolitan area here in New York City, a lot of it, I think, has to do with all the people here. So when things open back up and restaurants are back at full capacity and people can go out and do the things they want to do and meet with one another, I think that is going to be a great thing, and it's something I'm really looking forward to. Whether that be something as simple as going to your buddy's apartment via the subway, or maybe going to your favorite restaurant on a Saturday night and not worrying about not being able to get a seat because they're at limited capacity.
Sure. That's amazing. And how much better is it going to feel now, to do those things, to go to a college football game after having a year of not being able to do it?
Oh, that's going to feel great. I guess that should have been number one on my list. I wasn't thinking, since I'm living 3,000 miles away now. But it was really weird last year not being able to fly back out to Southern California to watch my Trojans play. So we're already planning a trip out there to go watch a couple of games, tailgate with some former teammates, with my family and friends. That's going to be great.
That's awesome. Well, it looks like both of our teams are going to be pretty strong contenders for the Pac-12 South, so that would be really fun to watch unfold again. It was just so different last year. This will be really fun to be able to see that again and appreciate all those special friends and special days watching some football. It's just such a fun part of life. I really love it. Man, this has been an awesome conversation. Talking football and keto and lifting and finances, like amazing. It's been a great hour. If you were to leave the listener with one simple tip from this conversation, what would that be?
Oh man, that's a tough question. So if I had to leave just one tip for everybody, I would say just be grateful for where you are at this point in life, and know that you can always change your trajectory going forward, whether that be in the weight room with your nutrition, whether it be your finances. It's never too late to embark on a path of success. So be happy, be grateful that you're alive, healthy, have a roof over your head, can feed yourself and your family, and you have the world at your hands to take advantage of it, and to be successful and be happy.
Wow, that's beautiful. That is a great way to end this conversation. Where would you like people to go to find both your financial services and also your services with coaching, strength training, and nutrition coaching?
So if you want to see what I can offer financially, I do work for Morgan Stanley. If you go on our website, you can just do an advisor search, or you can simply Google my name, Zack space Kusnir. You'll see my page pop up with all my contact information. If you like to go through LinkedIn, feel free to send me a message there. As far as finding me for nutrition and fitness, I'm most active on Twitter. My handle is Zack, that is Zack, strength, just how you would spell strength. I do have a Facebook page as well. I'm not as active there, but if you don't have a Twitter, feel free to send me a message. I do check them, so I'll get back to you if you message me there.
That's awesome. Zack Kusnir, what an honor and a privilege to speak with you today. So many great gems of information and so many different topics that people can benefit from. We're so grateful for your life and everything that you've done. Man, let's go catch a tailgate this year.
Thanks, Casey. Sounds good. I'd love to tailgate with you. And you can put it on record now that I'm saying USC is going to beat Utah this year.
Oh,
and you can make fun of me. You can make fun of me all you want if the opposite happens.
We're cutting this part out of the episode. Dude,
all
that's
good.
Great.
All good.
We'll just look forward to catching a fun time and watching some football either way. We're super excited. Thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Of course, Casey, you have a great day, and thank you so much for the invite. I'm very appreciative to be here on your podcast.
Absolutely. And this has been another episode of Boundless Body Radio.